Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Happy Investor podcast. And today I'm joined by a lovely guest, Heather. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
That's all right. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So on the podcast, we like to talk about money, how you make your money, and
hmm
investments, and also happiness, because there's no point in making money if we don't have fun with it and do things that make us happy. So can you give us a bit of an introduction to you and what you've been up to recently?
Yes. So about a year ago, I would say my life kind of completely changed because I took a leap of faith and I bought a flat at auction, a very cheap flat that needed a lot of work doing, and then spent the next year doing the work and turning it into a two-bed flat that we could then sell on. I bought it with my sister. And I made a few videos of the process, which has now grown into an online following of over 100,000 people.
That's
So
insane.
that's now my life.
That's amazing. So take me back to a year ago. Why did you decide to buy the flat?
Well, I've always wanted to own my own home, obviously. I've always wanted to be financially independent and to be I feel like people, it's kind of a bit taboo to talk about, but I want to be successful and I want to have money in my
Yeah.
future and I want to be able to take care of my family. So I one day was sat in bed. My sister and I had less than £10,000 each, really. And I saw a flat very near me up for 100,000, and I thought, oh my God, maybe we should go have a look. By the time I called the agent the next day, they were like, it's under offer. So you can't go and have a look at it, but we've got one coming up if you want to have a look at that. So my sister, my mum and I went, and I dragged them along to this flat viewing, and it was a really lovely day. And we were like, wow, this is a really nice place. And we had absolutely no idea at the time quite how messed up the place was and what needed doing, because in like a nice sunny day it just looks like, well, we just need to take the wallpaper off and
Yeah.
recarpet, put in a new kitchen and a new bathroom, and that's fine. And it's only when you then actually go to steam the wallpaper and the plaster falls off that you realize that the whole thing needs completely stripping back to brick and rebuilding.
Wow.
So we saw that naively we had enough money to do it, and that it looked cool, and we could turn it into a two-bed flat for me and my sister. Why not? So we just did it. But it was kind of like the morning that we made the offer on it, my sister woke up not even knowing that I was looking for flats to buy for us. Like, it all happened
Wow.
within a day. And then within a week, the offer had been accepted, and then we were suddenly getting everything together.
Wow. Amazing. And did you go to auction with it?
Well, it was an auction property. It was up at auction. And we basically, because I was an estate agent for 5 minutes, like a
Mm.
month, and I really didn't enjoy it. But I knew some stuff from being an agent because I'm
Yeah.
quite a quick learner and I learned a lot in that month. So I put in a pre-auction bid that was 10% over asking. On the day that we viewed it, because it hadn't gone to auction yet. And I said, this is our bid. We are two girls in our 20s. We are not in a position to win a bidding war with anyone.
Mm.
This is what we have, and we'll love it, take care of it. Not that that really matters to the seller, but
Yeah.
it does in some cases. But this is our 10% higher than asking bid. And the seller said, no, I'm going to let it go to auction. And we said, okay, fine, whatever. And then it went to auction, but I wasn't looking at it because I wasn't in the mindset to bid against anyone. I just let it go. And to me, the universe had said it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
So we let it go. And then I got a call a couple of days, or the day that the auction finished. And they said, it's received no offers, no love. Do you want it? At your bid. And I said, I do want it, but not at the bid that we put in, because it's proved to have no love at auction. We're
Yeah.
going to reduce it down by 5 grand or something, just kind of like just to reduce it.
Mhm.
And then we got our bid accepted. So we didn't have the typical auction process of having to bid against people and do the real thing, but we
Yeah.
did have the 56-day completion deadline that other auction properties have, which as a first time buyer is pretty stressful,
Yeah.
because you don't know what you're doing, and our solicitor wasn't great. So there were points there that we almost lost the property. And when you buy at auction, there's something called a buyer's reservation fee. And in the auction house that we purchased through, that reservation fee was £6,600,
Wow.
which is quite similar to Anya and I's both initial investment. So to us, it's a really big amount of money that if we lost the property because we didn't exchange and complete in 56 days, then we would have lost that £6,000 as
Mm.
well as the property. So it was quite high stakes for us.
Wow. And you hadn't done any property refurbs before that?
No, I had never picked up a hammer, or I didn't know
Mm.
anything. I still don't
Yeah.
know much, but genuinely my like lasting memory of DIY was one evening. I'm a night owl, so I'm up in the middle of the night when there's no one to ask how to do anything, and I wanted to put up some pictures of my mum and dad in my room, and I got one of my nail varnish bottles because they're glass and heavy, and I used that to hammer a nail into the wall, and then I pulled the nails out of the walls around the house because I wouldn't have even known where to go and find nails in the shed. And then I hammered them in the wall and then hung these, didn't measure, didn't do anything. And
Yeah.
that was the only time I'd done any
Nice.
DIY before we got the keys to the property.
Okay. So the plan was to keep the flat for you and your sister to live in?
Yeah, kind of, and initially. And then when I can't remember the kind of turning point where we thought, hang on a minute. And when I say we thought, Anya's being dragged along begrudgingly, happily, I'm not sure in this whole thing. So she likes the idea of owning a home. She trusts me, and what I think. So it was quite soon on that we were like, hang on a minute, this is going to cost a lot of money to do, money that we don't have, so we had to
Mm.
take a loan, but money that we can't just sink into this property and
Oh,
leave there. We don't have that kind of fiscal freedom yet. But also, this presents an opportunity that if we are, when I looked at the margin on it, because when I was an agent, I had sold a house round the corner for 100 grand more than
yes.
the property we bought. So obviously it was going to cost a lot of money to do, but I saw an opportunity to possibly make some money and, if nothing else, gain a load of experience for the next one. And I
Mm.
saw my opportunity to kind of get my foot in the door in property development, because I think a lot of people think I really want to do that, but finding kind of actually doing it is really hard. It's not like, oh, I'm going to learn a new skill. Like, you've got to have a lot of money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's really high stakes to do. So this felt like something that it was my chance finally to forge my own way in life.
Yeah. So you might flip it and sell it, or you might refinance it, take some cash out.
We looked into refinancing it because that would have been my preferred option. But at this point, we can't take enough out to buy another one because there's so little in it. Because I think it's only, when I spoke to my mortgage advisor, we could only release 75%, which turned out to be less than 60 or less than
Mm.
50. So it really isn't enough to then do and to buy another one and renovate the other one. So it's just not an option for us yet. I think in 2 or 3 properties time, that is what my preferred option would be,
Mm.
but we just need to have more equity in it. We need to
Yeah.
have more money overall. So at the moment, we have 2 days ago actually accepted an offer on the property. So it's being
Nice.
sold, and it's been a really grueling, long process because we've had legal issues on the property,
Oh,
which has meant that even though it's been finished, I've had to sit on it and twiddle my thumbs for 6 months, even
that's so
though
frustrating.
it's so frustrating. And Anya and I are, this became my job. I'm a content creator now without any content to make because the property's finished.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time of us waiting. And obviously the market has taken a real turn in the last
Mm.
6 months. So where we were and the price that we were selling it for is no longer applicable. So
Mm.
the profit margin's kind of gone out the window. It's just, I'm just keeping
Get
myself
rid of it. On to the next
how much
one.
how much we've learned and the job that it's
Yeah.
given me with the content, and that's what I'm taking out of it, and then hopefully the next one will bring better rewards for us. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been sold subject to contract, and we're just going through the process now, so thank
Nice.
the Lord for that.
Well done. So take me back then. You buy this, is it a flat?
Yeah.
Buy the flat, you walk in, what do you do first? Like, what's the first bit of the refurb that you were doing?
We took a sledgehammer to everything on the first day. Yeah, there was, an old fireplace, which everyone online likes to tell me was original, but it's not original. It was like, the kind of really light stone brick hearth fireplace round the corner, and it was the one that hides all of your TV cables. So
Right.
that was not original to a
Yeah.
1930s property that holds TV cables. So we took the sledgehammer to that, slowly breaking up the bricks and then pulling it off the wall, because when we had when we had made an offer and it had been accepted, I got builders round, I got electricians round, I got plumbers round to get quotes for everything so that I could start costing up the build and the project itself. And one of the things we'd had a quote for was taking out this fireplace, which they quoted us at £400 to do. So this first day was for us kind of like, how much of this can we do to save money? And we had no idea. So going in with a crowbar and a sledgehammer, and I have video footage of myself on that first day. Look, and I could barely swing the sledgehammer because I just was so uncomfortable with it, and I just didn't know
Yeah.
what I was doing.
Now
But
you're a
within
pro. You could sledgehammer anything.
once you have the confidence behind it to really go for it. But I think that, like, I don't know, it's not something that I'm not one to make a loud noise, or like I'd never shout. So like something about holding a sledgehammer and making a big crash was not didn't feel comfortable to me.
Mm.
But, when we took out that fireplace, it was when I was like, "Actually, we don't know what we're doing, but we can do this."
Yes.
So we did that first room and our friends came over and we had to run to B&Q because we were like, "We don't have anything to put this rubble in. We don't have anything to, like, to shovel the rubble up or pick it up, other than we don't have a broom, we don't have anything." All we
Yeah.
had was a crowbar and a sledgehammer, and you can only get so far with that.
Yeah.
And then we started ripping out the kitchen on the same day, and within a week, it was completely stripped on the inside back to brick, basically.
Wow. And did you both have day jobs at this time? Like, how were you keeping
Yeah,
going?
so Anya is at full-time university, and we bought it in August, so she still had 2, 3 weeks before she went back to uni, and
Mm.
it was quite naive on my part and possibly lack of communication on her part, that I thought when I was at uni, I did politics and economics at Cardiff. I had plenty of time on my hands. Like,
Yeah.
we went out a lot. We were quite a party house. We had a load of fun. So I was like, Anya's going to have more than enough time to help me with this property. But it turns out she's doing chiropractic and she takes it a lot more seriously than I did, or she's just much harder worker than I
Yeah.
am. I'm not sure, but she spends a lot of time at university. So she kind of then stopped having much time, but I was working 2 or 3 part-time jobs at that point.
Right.
Um, when I'd bought the place, I had quit my job as an estate agent, much to my mum's horror, because she was like, "You can't just quit jobs anymore because you now have a mortgage to pay." But I was like, "I'll figure it out." And I was working part-time for a security company. I was also working as a barista, and I was doing after-school clubs with kids. So all of the work was done in and around before work, after work, whatever job I had on, or I'd have my laptop with me and be working and doing it, to try and fit it in around that.
That is amazing. That is so, like, you're just so full of determination. Like, I'm just going to make this work. I'm going to do 3 part-time jobs and I'm going to get a sledgehammer to a flat. I love that. So, what were the hardest or the most surprising bits of the refurb?
Um, One of the hardest bits was that, we basically our porch was rotten. But I, in my rose tinted, like, nice eyes, was looking at it thinking, "This will be fine. I can do this." And we got quoted by a builder £4,000 to redo it. And I was like, "No way, I can do this. Surely I can do this," with the help of kind of ChatGPT and YouTube. And it became quite obvious quite quickly that it was a lot more than I thought it was.
Um,
And I had a friend helping me out, but that friend then quite quickly was indisposed doing something else and couldn't help me continue the build. So we had taken out the windows of the porch, we'd taken out the wood timber of the porch, and he'd put in the main supports. And then I was looking at it and I was alone in it.
mm,
And I couldn't afford to and didn't want to go back to the builder. So it was the first thing that I really had to do myself. So I learned how to glaze in windows and I learned how to install window frames. And I literally stood there in the porch with my foot up on the side with a saw, no mitre, nothing keeping it straight or anything, just measured, sawed, and then used the builder's drill on site, which I won't tell him about, and used that to just, I didn't know what a pilot hole was. I just drilled in where I made sense to drill, and slowly but surely put this porch back together. And then
Mm.
after I put in the frames, I had to get the glass cut because the building is slightly wonky because it's an old building. The holes for it wasn't perfectly parallel or perpendicular, so it was like this slightly, and then every time I got the glass cut, it didn't fit. And then when I did finally get it cut properly, because of the slant, there was gaps on the side,
Mm.
and it just basically took me a couple of months of every single morning, every single night, I was like, I've got to do this porch and I don't know how to do it and I don't know if I
Yeah.
can do it, and just trying to figure it out. And it was really, really hard. I spent a lot of time in tears, like, I can't do this, I can't do this. But it was like, you've got to do it. There's no other option here. You can't afford to get it done, so you're going to have to do it. And then it was getting to December, January time. So I was stood in the freezing cold, glazing in these windows with glazing putty, which is kind of like Play-Doh. You stick it in the edges of the window and then you use something to smooth it out and make it into a line. But that is an art in itself. Like, it's quite a hard thing to do.
Mm.
And it's something that glazers spend a lot of time perfecting. So the whole thing was like a really, really hard project for me. But in it, if anything, it was the most rewarding, and it taught me
Yeah.
the most about what I can do and what I'm capable of, because I'd never thought in a million years it would be something that I could do until I genuinely had to do it and there was no option.
Yeah.
So I'd say that was definitely like one of the really hard parts. And then one of the most surprising parts was just things like finding asbestos in the house, which, like, I'd heard of asbestos and mesothelioma as something that was of the past and like didn't really affect people nowadays. And I didn't even think that it would be in my house. Now I know
Oh,
to get an asbestos survey in any property I buy that's
yeah.
old. And we had no connection to the water. Our water was connected to the lady upstairs. So we had to get the road dug up and have a whole new mains
Oh,
connection. You take it
wow.
for granted that your property has
Yeah.
its own connection. So I'm not taking that for granted again.
Yeah. Has it really
So yeah.
helped you with your confidence that you've just problem solved your way through this whole project?
Yeah, definitely. And it's made me, my whole ethos online and with our content is, if I can do it, you can do it too,
Mhm.
because I'm coming from a perspective of no expertise, no experience. My background is economics, politics, makeup, beauty, and baristaing and bartending. I managed one of the big restaurants on the beach, Rockwater. And like that taught me a lot about confidence, because I didn't know that I was the youngest manager. I managed a team of 30 people who were like all from 50 down to 16. And that was a huge job for me. But
Mm.
it was nothing that I didn't think I could ever do. Like, I knew what I was talking about. I'd been
Mhm.
in hospitality. I was securing myself. But then taking on something like this is just like, it is something that I think a lot of people, and people do online, give us a lot of stuff like shtick about it. And it was something that I think a lot of people would look at and think, blonde 25-year-old girl that doesn't know anything, I'm not sure she can do that. And it's something that I thought myself. So for me, our content is all about proving to women that it is possible, and not just it's possible because I think they probably would have known it to be possible, but to empower them to really give it a
Yes.
go, because they're not watching someone who's been to trade school. Obviously, they're going to
No.
know how to do it. They're watching someone who's self-proclaimed idiot that doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
So if I can really do it and do it decently and make money from it, then they can pick up a hammer or a drill and put up that picture instead of waiting for a boyfriend or a
Yeah.
husband or a dad to come home and do it for them, and just kind of empower people with the knowledge. I'm not showing anyone how to do anything, because I'm not the person to learn from. It's just about the motivation that they can do it, and look up another person's video on how to do it, because you wouldn't want to learn from mine.
Yeah.
But just like, if she can do it, I don't see why I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. We've got a property business. We manage a lot of HMOs
Mhm.
and have done refurbs and things like that. And in real life, the amount of just rubbish I get from men, in B&Q or tradies or whatever, but also online with mainly men just going, you know, you can't do that. Or, it's unbelievable, isn't
Mhm.
it?
It's
I feel
I
like you've
get a
had a lot of that
lot.
as well.
I get a lot of that, especially with, at the beginning. I get a lot of, I would never. This is why I would never employ a woman to do DIY, or like you're the other day I had, "You're just a biodegradable dishwasher, get back in the kitchen." Like, I get that a lot, like, "Get back in the kitchen," or just like, about how I would never employ a woman to do this, or stuff like that. I get a lot, but I also get a lot about my physical appearance, and like, people will say things like, I got a comment the other day that said, all I saw was her ass, not watching for anything else. And it's just like,
Yeah.
now, since the first couple of weeks, I put myself in pink baggy overalls and I have a
Yeah.
pink drill set. I'm trying to make my intentions clear with the internet. I'm
Yeah.
here for the girls and I'm posting for women, not
Yeah.
for men. But they still do stumble across our videos every now and again. And they hate it. They absolutely hate it. They hate to see a woman in this space. Um, but God forbid I ever mention, like, I put a video about how I saved X amount of money, and I get
Mm.
people saying that I'm putting men out of business and that, like, I'm scum because, like, I'm putting hardworking builders out of business because, and it's like, you have to recognize the economic climate that we're in. People can't afford that money
Mhm.
yes, I understand that they're well worth that. I'm not saying they're not worth it, but it doesn't change the fact that I can't afford £4,000 to rebuild a porch. The person doing it probably would have done a much better job, and their skills and their craftsman is,
Mm.
yeah, good for them, but I can't afford it. So it doesn't really matter how much it costs or whether it's worth it or not. I'm going to have to do it myself. And people really have an issue with that. And they think that I'm personally putting men out of business, which is just like, no, I'm not. I'm just
But then
trying to
but
give
then
people
why would
opportunity.
you not pay someone to do anything for you? Like, if you clean your own house, are you putting cleaners out of business? If you go and
Exactly.
do your own shopping, are you putting a delivery driver out of business? It just doesn't work as an argument. I'll go and find them in the comments and tell them. I think used to get upset by trolls, but I don't anymore because I'm like, how do you even have the time to just sit
Mhm,
and write horrible things on the internet? And also,
mhm.
it's really good engagement,
Yeah,
whether you
exactly.
reply to them or not. And you could just delete or block them. So,
Yeah.
how's it affected you? And what advice would you give to any other women who are just putting themselves out there and getting trolled?
If you're not getting trolled, you're not doing something right. That's what I think. Like, every time I have a man in my comment section saying something mean, I know that I'm doing something right. And that's what fuels me. I genuinely don't care. If a woman said something to me and it was a hate comment, I would be upset
Mhm.
because I have this immense love for women and they can do no wrong in my eyes. But if a man is going to say something, I just know that there's hate in their hearts and that's all it is. Like, I know that I'm doing something that's irking them, that's annoying them, that's making them hate it, and that's probably because I'm doing something right. Um, at the beginning when I wasn't monetized because my TikTok wasn't monetized or I wasn't doing brand deals and stuff on Instagram, I did get more frustrated by the hate comments because it was like, I'm getting hated on and I'm not even getting paid for it. Whereas now I'm like, you're helping my engagement rate, which is what I send off to brands, and that's what helps get me brand deals. On TikTok, I do get paid for the views. So go for it. Just keep engaging. Do what you want to do. Hate as much as you want. And there are lots of comments that are constructive criticism, which I will note down and screenshot and very much use. But there's a
Mhm.
way to say it. And I posted a video because I tiled my bathroom and it turns out I have tiled it slightly wrong. I posted a video afterwards to say, what can I do now? And a lot of people said, girl, they've been tiling like this for years. I'm a tiler. You'll be absolutely fine. It's just internet trolls having a go at you. So don't take it too seriously. But next time I probably will tile according to the trolls just to be on the safe side. But it was just a mistake. And I know that it was just a
Tiling is
mistake.
so hard. How did you do that?
It was in our kitchen, in our bathroom, you're supposed to do a step before tiling that I
Mhm.
didn't do. And literally so many people have been like, my tiles lasted 8 years, you're gonna be absolutely fine. I
Yeah.
tile like this every day. Some other people were like, your tiles are gonna fall off the wall within a week, you're stupid. Why have you done this? Women are stupid. So I probably will do that extra step next
Tears
time
get in the
deliberately.
kitchen.
Yeah, exactly, get back in the kitchen, and when I get videos about getting back in the kitchen, I just post another video of me tiling my kitchen, like, I am in the kitchen. What's your issue?
I love that.
Um, it just gives you more fuel,
Yeah.
it gives me more stuff to motivate me, that I know I'm doing something, and also it gives me more videos to make because it gives me ideas.
Mm,
And it gets it out to more women. It gets the
mm,
word out more, and it gets more followers and all of that. And the more people that join my kind of community online, the more women that comment saying, "Oh my God, I'm finally going to pick up a hammer and I'm going to do this," or "Oh my God, I
yeah,
never thought this was possible." And for every comment like that, I'll happily take 20 hate comments
yeah,
for every one of a woman who has been inspired or empowered to do something.
yeah. I love that. So how are you getting on with the content creation then? You actually get paid to post on socials?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Have you had to create a lot in order to monetize it?
Yeah, so on TikTok, the barrier is you have to have 10,000 followers and over 100,000 views. And also, there's a weird little loophole, which is you have to have started your account in the UK or in America. There's like a list of 5 countries that you have to have done that.
Oh.
When I started TikTok the first time, I got to 10,000 followers and I went to join the Creator Fund, which is how you monetize. And when I got there, it said, "Really sorry, you can't monetize your account because you started your account in Spain." Because my dad lives in Spain, so I've grown up part here and part in Spain. And I must have just created TikTok when I was on
Oh, no.
holiday. And so I couldn't monetize TikTok no matter what I did. I got a VPN and pretended like I was in the US for a while because that was like a loophole. It didn't work. And so with TikTok, I basically had to start a new account and start from scratch. I was at
Oh.
26,000 followers at the time. And then I started a new account and really luckily got to like 40,000 followers within a couple of months. So that gets monetized when you hit that 10,000 follower mark and when you have 100,000 views. So then you get paid per 1,000 views on TikTok. It's minimal, and there are months where I've had £15 come in from
Mm,
TikTok. There are also months that I've had £700 come in from TikTok, but
right.
it really is dependent on the views. And TikTok is so fickle. You can post something one day that will do really, really well, and you could post the exact same video another day and it absolutely flop because the algorithm is really picky and it's really temperamental.
Mm,
So it's not a stable source of income. The way that people make their money the most in content creation, and what I've come to do at the beginning, we got a lot of gifted stuff because the business model with our renovations and the content creation is that our margins are increased by the fact that I can get a lot of stuff gifted through content. So we got our tiles, our paint, all of our tools were gifted, everything from brands online, our flooring, um, stuff like that. So in
so did
my
you approach those brands and say, "Hey, I've got 50,000 followers, can you gift
yeah,
me something?" Ah,
it
clever.
started when I had 6,000 followers on TikTok. That's when I got paint for free.
Mm,
And then as we grew and grew and grew, we then have an ongoing partnership with Ryobi. So I've got everything Ryobi, and if I need anything, I just give them a message and it gets sent out to us. So if I've got an upcoming job with a friend where I'm helping her tile her fireplace hearth, and we need an angle grinder, so we just send him a message on Instagram, or we've got this coming up, and he'll get us an angle grinder sent, basically,
nice. And then you just
which is
go,
a pretty sweet
"Gifted."
deal. Yeah, and we just use it, and we just have to,
Yeah,
acco as per the rules and the laws by the ASA, we do have to say #gifted,
yeah.
and make sure that it's very clear in our content what we're doing and what we're using. And we had an ongoing relationship with Brandon Hire Station, which meant that a lot of these DIY jobs that I didn't have bigger tools to do, like a stump grinder, I grinded the stumps in our back garden after we had the trees taken down, because that's like, I don't know, 100 quid to get a stump ground. So we did that ourselves, and we needed a rotavator to rotivate the grass, which I did myself by hiring that, but that was free. So it really facilitated it. And then the next time, I have friends in content creation, good friends of mine that I see every week, and they had their whole bathroom suite gifted. One of them had all of her appliances in her kitchen gifted. So for the next project, I will reach out to social media because it's now in its full swing. At the
Mm,
time, we were building. Now we've got our base.
yeah.
I can really tap into that to try and get our spend down on our next project by getting all this stuff for free. And then now the gifting, when you hit a certain following, kind of turns into paid work,
Yeah.
because brands know that, yes, I will take a bathroom suite gifted, but if someone wants to give me a 3D printer gifted, I don't need a 3D printer. I think it's wasteful just to take a 3D printer for
Mm.
the sake of it. So that isn't then paid work, really. Like, we will pay you X amount of money to make a video of this printer, and then that's
Mm.
fine. It depends on the product, depends on what we are doing and whether it's organic to me and natural to my content. But
Mm.
that's now how I make my money, and it's not
Mm.
much because I'm still really getting into it. But I have an agent now who approached me a few months ago. So she does all my outreach and all the negotiations with brands. Some of them come into my inbox, some of them she reaches out to. And it's it's surprisingly, like, when I tell people how much you can earn from like one brand deal. For example, we just signed a deal for one TikTok for £3,000. And
Wow.
yeah, and when you think that that TikTok, some people look at it, you film that TikTok, it's gonna take me an hour to film it, or it could take more. Like, there have been TikToks that I've taken 8 hours to film and
Mm.
4 hours to edit. So say it's that. £3,000 for that amount of work is obscene. But it has taken me a year and a half of
Yeah.
posting consistently every single day
Yeah.
to build up that
Yeah.
following. And I also put it to people: when you buy a billboard on the M25 or whatever, I know we don't really have that in the UK, but in America or something like that, if you want to put your product in front of people, that's the money that it costs.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a crazy world that we're living in, that that's a job, but I feel
Yeah.
very, very lucky to have this
Mm.
job. And as long as I kind of do, the brand deals are hard. They're few and far between. That's also why they're more, because I might get one a month maybe, or one every
Mm.
couple of months. It depends on our engagement. When we're doing really well, which at the moment, because we've had no content to make because our flat has been sitting there,
Mm.
when we get a new flat, our reach at the moment is like 3.5 million people a month. But our reach a couple of months ago was like 20 million people a month. And when we reach 20 million people, that's when the brands see us. And
That is a
that's what
great
come to
audience,
us.
and you've worked really hard for ages to build this audience,
Mm.
and you probably haven't bought any of them. You've actually brought them in through your
Oh,
content.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they're a
yeah,
really good targeted audience of women who wanna get into property, who probably wanna get all these, angle grinders and paint and things like that. So, yes, it makes so much sense. It's really good. So what is next for you?
another property, same
Yeah.
again. Just like, I have been itching to get going again, because this legal issue has been completely out of my hands, and it it's also been something that I've not been in control of and had to wait for someone else to resolve. So I have been so frustrated. I had a lovely summer, felt like I had a summer off
Mm.
work. But soon before that, the cafe that I managed, like, the guys came in and basically cut the electrics because the guy that I worked for wasn't paying his bills. So quite
Oh,
quickly, I lost my main source of income, and then I was like, fine, I'm going to pile all my energy into content creation. I'm going to really make it happen. And then I had no content to make, which meant that our page wasn't getting out to brands, and
mm,
it was kind of sitting doing nothing. So it became quite hard to earn money that way. But I was like, right, I'm just gonna, like, make the most of a bad situation. I'm gonna have a lovely summer, gonna go to the beach all the time, and I'm just gonna throw myself into my friend. I also broke up with my long-term partner, which was like
mm,
probably the hardest part.
yeah.
So I just had, like, tried to make the best of the summer. And then when the winter came along, I was like, I'm really struggling now. I really
Mm.
want to get my hands dirty. I want to get stuck into another project, but I can't. I'm paying a mortgage, I'm paying bills on
Mm.
this flat that's sat there. And a lot of people said, why don't you Airbnb it? Why don't you rent it out? I didn't want to rent it out because the minute that it's the legal issue is sorted, I want it sold. And we don't have that flexibility if we
Mm.
rent it out. Also, with an Airbnb, we've made this place as nice as possible. We've got solid oak worktops, we've got cream carpets, because we want that wow factor when people walk in. And I didn't want to put it on an Airbnb and then
Mm.
risk that. So I've been frustrated, anxious, stressed about this whole legal battle that we've been going back and forth on over the property. And we had it up on, then we said, okay, fine, I'm going to put it up on the market because we can accept an offer. We just can't sell or we can't exchange or complete until this legal issue sorted, but it gives us a few months. At least means we're moving. And then all the agents were like, the market's really bad at the moment. We don't
Mm.
want to put it on right now. I was like, but I need to put it on. So in the last week, it's the first time in literally 6 months that anything has moved for us. So I am literally chomping at the bit to get a sledgehammer in hand and get another property. In the meantime, I'm helping out. I'm helping out women with DIY projects, like a lot of girlfriends that I know that have got stuff to do. I'm either taking girlfriends along with me and showing them how to do it, or I'm just simply helping women out with projects. And I'm filming that as part of a new content series until we get the next
Amazing.
property. But the next
I've got a
property,
big deck in my garden that we need to completely smash up and replace. Do you wanna come and do that?
I will happily smash anything up, genuinely anything, unless
Come
it's a
round
low
with your
dirty wall.
sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll chat. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like your whole theme is like you can just do anything, can't you? And I
Yeah,
think we just need to get that across to anyone listening. You really can do anything if you put your mind to it, can't you?
yeah, and there's no point in believing you can't. I don't know if you're into film, but if anyone wants some motivation, go and watch Marty Supreme because he, at all costs, made his dream happen. And you literally just have to just keep working at it, working different angles, staying consistent. And like we are not in a good position at the moment. We're still like no better off financially than we were last year, but mentally I've got loads and loads of skills. And if you look for it, you can find some really cheap, really, really ugly little flats
Yeah.
and then just start there. Just start small.
Yeah. Amazing. So, if people want to come and find you, where can they find you online?
They can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Built in Pink is our handle, and I'm the one in pink overalls with a pink drill.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.